We are here with Lawrie. Hello.
Hi, James.
World Radio Day is today, and the topic and theme of the day is a century of informing, entertaining, and educating. What does that mean to you?
Well, if you think about it, 100 years is a long time, and radio is the oldest of the electronic media, and it's been around since just after the end of the First World War, and educating, informing and entertaining is really something that was invented by the BBC and taken up by lots of other broadcasters internationally. It's about using radio as a valuable public resource. So there's nothing wrong with running commercial radio stations that generate revenues, but actually you can use radio for so much more. You can use it for education, you can use it for outreach, you can use it to create communities, you can use it to get information to people. I mean, if you think about something famous like The Archers, the radio soap that the BBC has broadcast for decades. Originally, that was a development project. That was about educating farmers in post-war Britain about how best to use new materials, new tractors. Tractors were a brand new thing in the late 1940s, and to better look after their animals and to grow crops more reliably and look after things and improve productivity of the land. That all came about because of radio. And why radio? Because radio is something that doesn't demand a high level of literacy. People who can't read and write or have limited reading and writing skills, they're not stupid, they're just not particularly well educated. And if you can get messages across them in the spoken word, we're all good at that. We can all understand what goes on when people talk to us, and so it's a really good messaging environment.
And also it says it's shining a light on the past, the present, and the promise of a dynamic future as well.
Well, the past of radio is well known, you know, from the early days of the BBC to the massive number of radio stations we have today. And of course, it's not just broadcast radio stations in the old-fashioned way of broadcasting. It's online services, it's podcasts, it's listen again. And actually, that's why the future is so bright, because radio is really good at reaching out to people, at being immediate, at creating notions of a community. You know, Radio 4 in the UK is a UK station. Radio 1 in the UK is a UK station. And then you've got small local radio stations and community stations like the one we're on now on Radiolab, and they all have their niche, but their ability to deliver and serve their audiences has really been improved by new technology. It's been improved in broadcasting by DAB, for example, where DAB allows more and more services to be broadcast. So when you're driving in your car, you've got more choice, but also by podcasting and also by listen again services. So if you want to listen to the James Boyall radio program and you can't listen to it because you're doing the washing up or you're looking after someone or you're going shopping, you can get it on listen again. So it's a much more flexible medium now. And that's, if you like, the beauty of radio. It adapts, it changes as society changes, and it can do more things now because it takes on board these new technologies. We don't listen to radio like we used to with a box in the corner of the room. Some of us do, but actually we're listening on smartphones, we're listening on headphones, we're listening on smart speakers. There's all those new ways of consuming radio. And, you know, I've been in radio for more than 30 years, and I was told when I started out, oh, well, why are you getting interested in radio? Radio's a dying medium. Well, yes, bring it on. If that's what dying means, when it gets bigger and better and more people use it, that's a pretty good future from my way of looking at it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And last thing from me anyways, what does radio mean to you as it's World Radio Day?
I think radio for me is about serendipity. There's a good word for you. You never quite know what you're going to get on the radio. So you hear things that you're not expecting. Now, that might be music, that might be a radio program about something you never knew about. So, for example, the other day I happened to turn on the radio and they were talking about the Hansa League. The Hansa League being a commercial organisation that ran for over, I think, 600 years between maybe that's an exaggeration, maybe 400 years in the medieval period. I'd never heard of it. Fascinating idea that people were doing world trades hundreds of years ago. And that's serendipity. It's something that popped up on the radio and I found really interesting.
Well, thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
That's all right. Well, thank you for joining me, Lawrie.